play a game, an old classic. How about Monopoly? That's a great family game. Great fun on the PC. Yeah, you didn't think I meant a board game, did you? Nah, cardboard and plastic, paper money. Do you have any idea how long it takes to set everything up? Why not just establish who's playing the game and the system can do the rest? Yeah, it's that simple. You don't gotta do a darn thing. Alright, let's go into a little background.
As we are all well aware, board games are a huge part of our modern family culture. It's one of the many ways for the family to get together and sometimes even tear each other's relationships over dice and cards without the need for gambling. Yeah, screw gambling, just having a family game night is enough to make people mad at each other because they lost. During the 90s, Hasbro Interactive was making a bunch of PC computer game adaptations of board games. There were plenty of examples out there and there's no way I'm going to be able to cover all of them, so I'm only going to provide a sampling of some of the games that Hasbro adapted to PC.
Let's play Monopoly. Everyone knows Monopoly is the type of game where families, they get together, they lay out the board, they give each other their cash, they roll the dice, they buy properties, they buy houses and hotels, they go to jail, they have to pay a huge sum of cash, and because of how much they pay, they get ticked, they take the game board and flip it over. Yeah, great family fun. But here, you don't have to worry about losing pieces, or at least you don't have to worry about not caring about losing pieces. All you need is the disc, you put it in the PC, and there you go.
Well, it's Monopoly. It functions pretty normal for the most part. You roll the dice, move around the board, purchase properties, and eventually establish your houses and hotels, all in an attempt to put everyone else out of business because you are that much of a greedy business sociopath. Some people say Monopoly teaches kids about counting money, but really, it's teaching them to be as greedy as possible. All you need to do is make sure you don't lose your money, because if you lose your money, you lose your patience. But again, you can't flip the board over. Also, the way trading works is just so weird. Every single player needs to agree on every single trade that is made, even the ones that aren't involved. So what if Thimble wants to trade a green property with Hat for a railroad at $9? If I'm not part of the deal, it's not my business. What really sets this game apart from other adaptations are these 3D animations. You see Rich Uncle Pennybags rolling the dice and the token moving around the board. It's weird that Pennybags sits up from the game board design like some kind of cardboard cutout. But rolling the dice is not the only time you see him. You also see him for your Chance Community chess cards anytime you have to pay the bank and when someone goes bankrupt. It's so uncanny. Other animations you'll get are for going to jail and each individual property. I like how the cheaper ones look desolate and it gets grander as the prices go up. Then there's the custom game options. You can choose to use cards from different places around the world and adjust the rules accordingly. Then there's also the house rules. Most of them seem fine, like the free parking lottery, no rent while in jail, 1 lap before purchasing, and double salary from landing on go as opposed to just passing it. But some of these are just weird. Cash is hidden? Why would I ever want that option to be on? Does that sound logical in any sense? Imagine that being how it worked in real life. Cheating is allowed? What does that even mean? Can this thing be more specific? Overall, a good adaptation of the board game, not bad for what it is. Next, let's check out Monopoly's Star Wars CD-ROM edition. It's hosted by C-3PO with Anthony Daniels coming back to do the voice. Just like old times, but oh boy, you're going to be hearing him a lot. Visually, the game looks great. You get a nice representation of the board, the railroads are replaced with spaceships, and the utilities are the reactor core and moisture farm. Shanty Community chests are Rebel and Imperial cards. Houses and hotels are now colonies and starports. The tokens are of course the famous Star Wars characters, like Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and a Stormtrooper. Each time you land somewhere, you get to watch a clip from one of the movies before you get to do anything. Okay, this stuff is great, and why wouldn't it be? But if you're familiar with Star Wars, you've probably seen this stuff plenty of times already. Besides, if you wanted to watch the movies, just go ahead and watch the movies. As if that wasn't torture enough, every time transactions take place, 3PO has to stop by to let you know.
Captain 7 is paying the bank for a property purchase.
That's what I mean when I say you'll be hearing him a lot. I turn off some animations to make everything go faster, but when I do that, I run into glitches. Like when a character is supposed to be passing go, they're just stopped at go. It's not like they landed on it. By the roll of the dice, they should have passed it. Another thing that's annoying is that sometimes during your turn, or whether you're trying to make a purchase or you haven't even rolled the dice yet, other players start a trade. Do you have any idea how rude that is? You're interrupting my turn. Look at this example. I just got a rebel card asking me to collect 100 credits. Normally, you accept the instructions on the card by clicking OK, but sometimes before you even get a chance to do that, the AI initiates a trade, making the process take longer. Wait for me to take my money, then start conducting business. It's a common courtesy. You don't see other video game adaptations of board games pulling this crap. But I think the worst part about this game is that when you save a game, then load that save, the file and trade droids stop working, which means you won't be able to exit the game again or make any kind of trades. How did something like this slip by? You know what I had to do? I had to eject the disc, then play a bit further until the game recognizes the disk drive is empty, then boots me out of the game. That is some supreme bullcrap. So yeah, avoid this version of Monopoly at all costs. It is not worth your time because it takes away a lot more time than the actual board game does. Your chances of actually finishing a game here is 3,720 to 1. Up next, we got the Game of Life. That's right, there was a Game of Life tie-in for the PC. It's pretty simple. You spin the spinner, you get a job, you earn your wages, you get married, you have kids, and eventually retire, trying to earn as much money as possible. In this version, you'll be going through the decades from the 50s up into the 2000s. No joke. You'll even hear different music as you advance through the decades. Sounds pretty cool.
Family checkup. Pay $5,000. African safari. Pay $25,000. Sponsor golf tournament. You are the athlete. Hire jockey for your racehorse. Pay $65,000.
There is an enhanced game mode where you can play these mini games for the chance to earn more money. It works okay. The animations have that 90s PC game vibe to it. Yeah, it was a pretty awkward time for 3D animated scenes like this. The characters all look like bobbleheads and look very uncanny, especially the women. Oh gosh. Man, that looks disgusting. It's certainly not perfect, but it's playable. It's also interesting to see not just animations, but these still drawings for each of the spaces. If you're able to find a copy of this game, give it a try. Let's check out Sorry. Well, it certainly gets an A+ for presentation. You're not just watching the pawns move around the board, you get many different animations of their movements, most of which being unique to the different colors. Even the bumping has a lot of unique animations. In fact, the colored pawns themselves are given identifiable personality through their dialogue.
Can't believe you did that. I must think you the rest of the game. I'd say sorry, but I was told not to lie.
On the surface, they may seem like just ordinary pawns and nothing more, but I'm really loving this dialogue. Makes you want to play the game often just to hear all kinds of different lines these characters say. They even comment on when the same line is repeated at one point.
Well, that's good for someone. Oh, Yellow, you're always talking.
But that's only the beginning. The way it plays is, well, more or less like the regular Sorry, but the flair is what makes it fun. There's also another mode called Way Sorry. This one has more cards than could be used. You can move a pawn currently out on the board to the nearest space occupied by an opponent and bump them back to start. You can prevent an opponent from moving a specific pawn for one turn. And there's also these Way Sorry cards. These ones are just like the regular Sorry cards, except you get to move all of your pawns that are still at the start space. I have the most fun when I play Way Sorry during the strategy mode. Yeah, the strategy mode. The one where you dealt 5 cards and you play one each turn. You get the gist. I really wish the Way Sorry variant was actually implemented in a version of the real board game. But overall, very welcome to Hasbro Interactive's adaptations. Worth your time, it's brilliant.
now it's time for the feature presentation. The very reason I decided to premiere this episode during the Halloween season. Clue, Murder at Body Mansion. Whoa, already it's setting up a mood!
If you know how Clue works, there's not a lot to say. The idea, once again, is to determine who the murderer is, where they committed the crime, and what weapon was used. It's about as faithful as you can get. You use process of elimination to narrow down the solution, and in the end, you make your accusation and figure out if you were right. But like the other adaptations, the game adds its own flair that really set it apart from previous video game conversions of Clue. For example, you can interact with the environment of the room you're currently in, you can take custom notes to make your life a bit easier, and every time a suggestion is made, you watch the crime being committed from the victim's perspective. They're pretty unsettling videos, actually. It's not just the same animations for different weapons being used regardless of the suspect. There's 36 different videos for each suspect weapon combination. Just like with Sorry, these suspects are given personalities based on these animations. The room is even dimly lit so you can't even tell what it is. At first, you're definitely spooked by the animations. I know I was when I was first exposed to it. You get used to them as you play the game more. There's also a variation that's more strategy based. On each turn, you get 9 points. Each time you move a space counts as 1 point. Making a suggestion, using a secret passage, or making an accusation counts for 3 points. I like this version more because it allows every player more opportunities to make suggestions in different rooms since they now have more places to go.
You know how sometimes when you play Clue, like the old version, where you roll just 1 die as opposed to 2 like nowadays, you're basically just exploring the same rooms over and over again, getting nowhere fast. The no die roll option takes care of that issue.
Even though this is a good version of Clue, it does have its issues. The AI, for the most part, is fine. It's programmed in a different way than other versions of Clue. The harder difficulty keeps track of a lot more from the game than the easier difficulty. There's this rule where if you are taken into a room by another player's suggestion, you can make your own suggestion in that same room. You don't have to do that, not unless you're an AI player in Clue Murder at Body Mansion. I don't get it. I have them set to the highest difficulty level, and still they do this. Even if they know that room is not part of the solution. Speaking of moving the characters around the rooms, even that can get a little screwy. Sometimes the character would end up teleporting outside the house. I find this top-down view easier to use than the 3D isometric angle. Why use the isometric angle? Unless you're familiar with the board layout like I am, you're not going to find moving around the house to get to the correct rooms very easy.
Okay, I almost solved the mystery. I know it's the wrench, but I just need to finish the puzzle. I think I got it. Just make the accusation. There!
Sam, go ahead. Come here.
All right.
Okay. No, look at the camera. Look at the camera.
All right. All right.